Hi, everyone. My name is Kim Vermark. I am the author of the book series, The Chronicles of Nadine. And I don't know about you, but with the current pandemic, people have a lot of anxiety, and that really influences the way that we work towards our goals. So I decided to do this Zoom today with a very special lady, Judy, because Judy is a social worker and she deals a lot with anxiety and depression and things that actually affect our productivity. Because at the end of the day, life has to go on regardless of the fact that we have COVID-19. And Judy is going to be able to help us unpack some of the challenges that people have and how to get through them. So I'm going to do a quick formal introduction to her, and then we are going to go straight into our chat. So this is Judy Dos Santos. She's a social worker in private practice, and she's been in private practice for over 13 years. So that means that she actually understands the entrepreneurial journey that many of us authors have to go through as well. So I'm really grateful to have her here. Since 1990, she has worked on various social work and counseling positions, and she works with trauma, stress, employee wellness, addiction, play therapy, anxiety, depression, grief counseling, and skills training. She does online and face-to-face counseling, and if you do want to get hold of her from a professional basis, I've included her email address there as well. So what are we going to cover in today's topics? It's going to be very chatty, but I'm going to let you know what our outline is for those people who like some more structure. So our topic today is how to meet your goals when you have anxiety. And we're going to cover what is anxiety, what is stress, what causes stress and anxiety, some signs of stress, risks faced due to stress, managing your work stress, anxiety and stress management tips, which is the one that I'm going to be paying careful attention to. And then Judy has got the 4 A's that she's going to discuss with us. And then I'm going to give you a little bit of input from my perspective as an author and how these topics relate to authors. So yeah, Judy, I'm going to hand over the floor to you. You can start chatting about the topic. Thank you so much for being here today.
Hi everyone, my name is Judy and thank you for listening to us. I think with the current situation with COVID-19, everybody's lives have been turned upside down, and I find in my practice I'm seeing a lot of people with stress, with anxiety. People have to work from home. It's a whole new ball game to survive, and there's a lot of restrictions on people, so it's caused a lot of people to have more anxiety than normal. I do find the people that I have seen previously for anxiety now have more anxiety, and I'm getting new clients who are developing symptoms of anxiety at the moment because it's so stressful to manage this whole situation. So I just want to read this quote to you guys, just as an example of what it is like to be anxious, because some people don't understand it and other people can relate very well. So I always thought I was just a worrier. I'd feel keyed up and unable to relax. At times it would come and go, and at times it would be constant. It could go on for days. I'd worry about what I was going to fix for a dinner party, and what would be a great present for somebody. I just couldn't let something go. I'd have terrible sleeping problems. There were times I'd wake up wired in the morning or in the middle of the night. Even reading the newspaper or a novel. Sometimes I'd feel a little lightheaded. My heart would race or pound, and that would make me worry even more. So that's what typically goes on in the head of a person that struggles with anxiety. All right, so some information about anxiety, what it is and how it works. So there's something called generalized anxiety disorder that's much more than just the normal anxiety people experience from day to day. It can be chronic and exaggerated, and you have worry and tension even though nothing is happening at the moment to provoke it. So you can have the anxiety without that. Having this disorder means always anticipating disaster, worrying excessively about your health, money, your family, or your work. even though sometimes the source of the worry is hard to pinpoint. Simply the thought of getting through the day provokes anxiety. People can't seem to shake their concerns, even though they usually realize that their anxiety is more intense than the situation warrants. They seem unable to relax. They often have trouble falling asleep or staying asleep. Their worries are accompanied by physical symptoms, especially trembling, twitching, muscle tension, headaches, irritability, sweating, or hot flushes. They may feel lightheaded or out of breath. They may feel nauseated or have to go to the bathroom frequently, or they might feel as though they have a lump in their throat. Many individuals will startle more easily than with other people, so you get a fright much easier. They tend to feel tired, they have trouble concentrating, and sometimes they suffer from depression too.
Okay.
Okay?
I can relate to a lot of those.
Can relate. So I think there's a lot of people who can relate. I mean, sometimes I also have some of these symptoms. So let's look at what is stress then. It's similar. So stress is a physiological and a psychological reaction to an imbalance between the demands placed on a person and that person's ability to meet those demands. Stress is a normal response. So we all have stress, which allows us to survive in our environment. So I don't know if you guys have ever heard of fight or flight response. When there's a danger, you produce stress hormones, cortisol, adrenaline, etc. in your body. And that makes you ready to either fight the situation, fight the danger and kill the lion, or run away from it as fast as you can. But in our daily situations that causes the stress, we can't always fight or run. So we're stuck in the stress, and that fight or flight gets stuck in our body. So that causes wear and tear in our body. And when we have this continuous changing environment and stressful stuff that happens, our bodies suffer because of that. So our perception of the stress event often determines our reaction. So sometimes we think it's much more stressful than what it really is. So we think it's a lion, but actually it's a cat. And that makes us react more anxious or stressful than actually what we should. Okay.
I just have a quick question that I need to ask you over here. So I find that if I've got a deadline, so what we've done now is my book is on pre-release and it actually has to be out on Amazon at a certain time. So if I backtrack that, then it has to be come back from typesetting at a certain time. It's got to come back from editing at a certain time. And I've got to do rewrites, and those rewrites have got to be finished at a certain time. So when that deadline is looming, then sometimes I get so flustered that I start snapping at everyone. Like, you know, your child wants to go to the bathroom, but that's going to make a noise, or someone wants you to cook dinner, which is like a normal thing. I have to cook dinner, you know, several times a week, but then that seems like, oh, like I have to do everything myself. Is that a sign of anxiety or stress or both? How would you say, what would you say about
that? Look, if the deadline is looming, then it's definitely anxiety because you're anxious that you have to finish everything on time for that deadline. And in a normal situation, most people have a normal amount of anxiety when there's a deadline or a big exam, or you have to make a big speech, or, you know, some major event has to happen by a certain time. That can cause normal anxiety. And that anxiety needs to push you forward to do that thing. But sometimes it becomes so over-exaggerated that it actually paralyzes us. And then when people become irritable and snappy, it's a normal symptom of the anxiety that you feel out of control. Stuff is not happening the way I want it to happen. And that's when we have this exaggerated response. So it's stress, anxiety combined into one. Stress is more like a longer term thing that, you know, happens all the time, and there's different events, and the anxiety is your reaction to the stressful situations.
Thank you for the clarification.
Okay, cool. Right, so our coping mechanisms and support systems play a substantial role in stress management. So if we don't know how to cope with the stress, you know, it becomes a problem. So let's look at some causes of stress and anxiety. Is that okay with you, Kim?
Absolutely, that's great.
Carry on with that. Okay, so here's Kim's example. Deadlines causes stress and anxiety. Workload and excessive work demands. And I must say at the moment, that's a big theme in my current uh, uh, work with clients, that a lot of them now working from home. The demands are higher. They have more work actually that they have to finish in a day than when they were at the office. So that can cause a lot of stress, because now we mentioned it earlier, but I might as well put it in here. We are moms, we are full-time workers, we have kids that are doing homeschooling, and a lot of parents did not know about homeschooling before COVID happened. We've got the normal household chores, and you still need time for all those things and balance your life. So it becomes very difficult to keep up with work demands if you have more than just the normal interruptions in your day. Because if we're all working from home, as you can see, and work from home, it's sometimes it's nice and it's relaxed and everything, but when that demand is there, your employer wants you to do this, and you've got your child niggling on this side, your child needs that, then it's like putting you in the middle, and that causes a lot of stress.
Probably
Okay.
my son making noise in the background as well. So this is a very real video.
Yes, yeah, this is just part of life. This is what life is like now. It's our new normal. So we just have to learn to live with that. So lack of drive and desire, motivation or inspiration. So I think that's also something when you are under a lot of stress, when situations change, then it can affect your motivation and your drive and your desire to work hard. So that's something that I think Kim can expound on later when she talks about the authors and the way that they are, their particular struggles at the moment. All right, personal difficulties. Guys, here's a lot. People are losing their jobs. People are taking salary cuts. Personally, I lost my contract with one of my big clients. Um, the pandemic is causing a lot of personal difficulties. People are getting sick. People's family are getting sick. People have died. I personally know now people who have had COVID. I know people who died. I know clients whose family died because of COVID. And all of these personal difficulties are really hard for people to accept. Currently, I have a client who had 4 people die in one weekend, 2 of COVID and 2 of cancer.
Sure.
Now, just imagine how that affects her work performance and her motivation, because she feels devastated. She's so numb, she can't function, but the work has to carry on.
Yeah.
All right, so that's very real at the moment. Okay, interpersonal conflict. Here again, we're hearing about so much gender-based violence, men abusing women and children at home because everybody's forced into a work at home situation, or the husband lost his job and now he's at home. And now people are getting abused. There's conflict at home. Money is tight. People are fighting about money. The realities of COVID is affecting people really severely. Okay, differing expectations, personal and work. One thing from you, your family is expecting another thing from you. You somewhere in the middle, you want to achieve your goals. And the whole situation lends itself to being under so much pressure because of different expectations placed on you, so, and you feel you can't actually get to what you actually want to achieve. All right? Lack of support system, guys, very importantly in this difficult time. If you don't have family members or friends that you can chat to and have support, those people who live alone, you know, people in old age homes, people who don't have family, it's very hard for them to cope, and they become much more stressed and anxious than people who have support. Okay, and the last point here is that straw that broke the camel's back. Just so many things happening at the same time and juggling too many balls, and then just one day you snap. And then you either snap in an angry way, you explode in anger, or you snap and you have a mental breakdown, you cry, you're anxious, you have a panic attack. Those are things that just, you know, too many things happened and then you just can't take it anymore. Then that happens. And that small thing that breaks the camel's back is sometimes not even a really big significant thing. It's just the last cherry on top that makes you snap like that. Okay, all good?
Excellent, thank you.
Right, cool. So let's look at some signs of stress. Okay, so general poor health, often sick despite treatment. So people who get sick often, you know, the common one is to have sinus problems and colds and flus every 2 weeks. Other people have other symptoms, tummy problems, etc. So you just, in general, you're not healthy. And, you know, the more stressed you are, the more sick you get. Okay, fatigue, lack of energy, sleeping problems. A lot of people suffer from sleeping problems. You can't fall asleep at night, or you don't sleep enough hours because you've got so much work to do, or you wake up in the middle of the night and you're wide awake and staring at the ceiling. Headaches is a sign of stress. Lots of people get headaches, lots of people get migraines. Over or under eating. Now, let me share something personal. I'm a comfort eater. During COVID, all diets went out the door. If you're stressed, you want to eat chocolates and stuff like that. Some people don't have an appetite. If they're stressed, they don't want to eat. So either way, it's not healthy for you. Digestion problems, tummy problems, ulcers developing, reflux, those kind of goodies happen when you are too stressed. Irritability and moodiness. Yeah, the kids nag on this side. Yeah, me too. And the boss nags on that side. And if you're your own boss, it's even worse because you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself. And then you get irritable if you don't get to everything that you wanted to get to for the day. Anxiety is a symptom of stress. Okay, so people with anxiety, it's not, there's nothing wrong with you. You're not bad or anything. It's just your body and your brain reacting to the stress.
Yeah.
Absenteeism, so those people who still go to work, they stay absent a lot, they off sick a lot. And presenteeism, when you are at work or when you're sitting in front of your computer and working at home, and you are present, actually you are not present. You're sitting there, but you can't work.
Yeah.
Your head is in the clouds somewhere. You can't concentrate. Your thoughts are somewhere else, or your thoughts are all over the place.
And I think
and
that's
you cannot focus on what needs to be done.
As authors, we feel that as well, because I've got a certain writing day, a day that I'm supposed to be writing, and then I'll sit and stare at the computer, get up, make a cup of coffee, do something else, and then at the end of the day, I'm like, I haven't written anything. I can generally write about 1,300 words within one session, which is about 2 hours. But now there are days where I'm like, I didn't even write 100 words. So I get the presentism thing.
Yeah. And also, even if you just, you've got work to do, but now you rather look at Facebook or you look at your WhatsApp messages, check yourself, because you feel I don't have the inspiration and the drive to push myself to do the work.
Yes.
So I think that's also happening quite a lot at the moment. All right. So now this is a serious one. There's some risks that we face due to stress. Stress is not good for us. So there's a 20% rate of obesity in South Africa. So I think these stats might be a bit, but if you eat too much, if you comfort eat, you overeat and you pick up some weight. All right. And stress causes your body to release cortisol, which is a stress hormone, and it makes you pick up weight around your tummy. So that's not good weight around your tummy. Okay. Increased risk of heart disease. So if you're already obese and you develop heart problems, then it's even worse. 1 out of 3 men and 1 out of 4 women in South Africa have heart disease. So that's quite scary, which then could lead to heart attacks, strokes, heart failure. Those are all stress-related stuff. Relationship breakdown and divorce. I think during this period of time, sorry about that, we have seen relationships breaking down a lot as well. And When I started studying, they told us that 1 in 3 marriages broke up in divorce. And then recently, so the stat that I've got here in the notes is not correct, that up to 50% of marriages break down in divorce. So that's really sad. And partly because of stress. I mean, that's not the only reason, but it could be due to the stressful situations at home, and with lockdown, stuff went badly wrong in the house.
And what I also found, like from my personal
Reliable.
is I've been married for over 16 years. And if we have financial concerns, I get far more stressed out than if we didn't. So something that might not bother me at all, because I'm an entrepreneur. So there's sometimes sales are wonderful and sometimes sales are terrible. And I found in the months that sales are terrible, the things that wouldn't bother me in times that we, got good finances, all of a sudden are an issue when there's lack of finances. So
Yes.
it really affects, and I think at the moment with COVID-19 and people losing their complete income or reducing their income, those stresses they manifest in a big way. And particularly if you are the breadwinner, then that just amplifies the stress.
Yes, yeah. And you pick on small little things, that your partner does that normally wouldn't bother you, but those small little things can lead to big fights and stuff like that. All right, so reliance on or increase in poor coping mechanisms. So, what are poor coping mechanisms? Smoking, using a lot of medication. So, I'm not against medication, all right, but there's a difference between using what the doctor prescribes for you for the headache and having 10 pills a day for the headache, okay? We can get into that later if there's time. So illegal drugs, some people go for illegal street drugs. Other people get addicted to prescription medication, the stuff that the doctor gave you for your anxiety, or the stuff that the doctor gave you to sleep, or the stuff the doctor gave you for your headaches. You use more and more. Sleeping can become a coping mechanism. So people sleep. They just go to bed and they sleep. They oversleep to just escape reality. Gambling is an addiction. People become addicted to gambling because it escapes you from reality. And also now with people losing money and income, they think, okay, let me just go and gamble because I heard so and so won 50,000 Rand the other day at that casino. So let me just go and put my last few bucks down at the casino and see if I can make some money. So that causes more problems because now you lose that little bit of money that you had left over for food, and now what?
Yes.
Right? So unhealthy coping mechanisms can get you into a bad situation, and often addiction and addictive behaviors is part of those.
Judy,
All right? Yeah.
Can we move on to the section where we get the good coping mechanisms? Because the ones that you've listed here, I recognize so many of them, although I'm not a gambler, but I must say I've been more tempted to play the lotto in this time. And some of the banks allow you to do it online. So, that's even more scary. But let's move on to the coping mechanisms, because we've probably got about 15 minutes left, and I really want the authors to get the and also whoever else is going to be watching this, I want them to get the meat of like, how do we make this work? I know that things are not going well with me, my spouse, my friends, or whatever. How do I still move into reaching my goals despite everything that's going on around us?
Okay, sure. All right, so managing stress, and then I've got tips after that. So managing work stress, you have to have balance. You've got to set clear boundaries. You've got to have a plan that you work according to. There's got to be work and home responsibilities. Okay. Number 2 will be time management. You have to have your plan for the day, your routine for the day. Have a list, a to-do list that you work from, tasks that you can, timelines for your authors. You have to have your timelines in place. And I've got a lot of info on time management. If people want to contact me, we can talk about it. Prioritizing work. So have your to-do list. Make sure that you do what's important first. And then later you can do what's not so important, and start with a small, simple task. All right? If you feel so overwhelmed, just start with something small so that you can tick it off on your list. If you have a list of 10 things and there's 8 big things and 2 small things, start with the small things and then go to the bigger ones. It will give you that feeling of accomplishment. All right? Mentorship. Kim can maybe say more on that. Find a mentor, and in the author world, it's quite good to have a mentor that can help you, support you, give you insight, etc. Foster good working and personal relationships. So work on your relationships. There must be mutual respect, trust, flexibility, healthy communication, saying no, having fun. Okay? Let things go. And I know this sounds difficult, although it's easier said than done. It's important to learn to let things go sometimes and not carry too much on your shoulder. Learn to recognize the things that are important and focus on those. Don't sweat the small stuff. So if it's too small to argue about, or if it's too small to stress yourself about, make a conscious decision. I'm not going to entertain this thing. Okay? So here's a quote. Wisdom is learning to let go when you want to hang on. Courage is learning to hang on when you want to let go. So also use these things to help you, motivational quotes and stuff. So now the tips. What do we do? How do we manage the stress and anxiety stuff? Number one, identify the sources of stress in your life. So what is giving you stress? Make a list. Take a guess. If you're not sure what it is, sit and write down the stuff. How did you feel physically and emotionally when this thing happened to you? Write down. Use your pen and paper. How you acted in response to it. What did you do? Okay? And what did you do to make yourself feel better or cope? So if you had a negative coping mechanism going there, then you can see. Number two, look at how you currently cope with stress. So not using the unhealthy coping mechanisms anymore, and look for more healthy coping mechanisms. So here's some tips, some practical stuff, guys, and it might sound silly and common, but these are the things that helps. So go for a walk or a jog or do any form of exercise. Guys, every day, you've got to do some physical stuff to help you de-stress. Stress in our body needs to come out. Doing gardening if you have a garden, playing outdoors with your kids, kick the ball outside, go for a walk or a run with the kids or the pets if you have pets, running with the pets. Talking to someone, your partner or a friend. Try not to bottle up things. If you bottle up the things, it's a pressure cooker, and at some point the pressure cooker can explode. All right? Or if you need to see a counselor, I'm seeing a lot of people with this kind of issues, so you're welcome to contact me if you need some help and advice on that. Next one, focus on what you can control. When we feel stressed, when we feel anxious, we feel out of control. So the things that I cannot control, I'm never going to be able to fix them. But make a list of 3 things. I can control these things. All right? Try to get more sleep. So if you can't sleep, how can you get more sleep? Work on a regular sleeping pattern, a bedtime routine, do some stuff in the evening to wind you down. Don't sit on your screens too late on your computers or your phones because that wakes you up. All right? Try to incorporate more healthy meals and healthy choices in your diet. There's lots of foods that are beneficial for stress, vitamin B, green leafy vegetables, stuff like that. Consider a course of vitamin B or a good multivitamin. There's some nice vitamin B injections out there. They burn a lot, but they're very good to help you with stress. Okay? Look for opportunities in challenges. So this thing is a challenge at the moment, this COVID thing. But what can I do to make it an opportunity for me to grow and to expand my business and to do better? All right? Think about it out of the box. We're used to thinking in the box. We need to find other ways to live life now. Remember to breathe. We forget to breathe. We feel we can't breathe. Okay? So learn to use breathing exercises, relaxation techniques, yoga or meditation. And sometimes people think these things are very weird and I don't want to try it. Just try those things. Give it a try because it's really beneficial. I went on a stress management course last week And it's just basic stuff that I've known myself that I just didn't apply. So just find those things. Online is a lot of stuff nowadays that you can tap into to help you with this. Use apps like Calm app, Breathe app, Simple Habit to help you with the above. There's nice sleeping musics and breathing exercises and meditations and stuff that you can use. Make time for fun and relaxation. You have to put time in your diary every day to relax, okay? If you always say, I'm too busy to relax, or I'm too busy to get my exercise in, or I'm too busy to do my meditation, you're not going to feel better, okay? So you've got to be committed. Use art or creative activities as a way to relax. For instance, adult coloring in, adults who color in are actually, it's a good therapeutic tool, painting or sculpting or writing. So you authors, you have a tool. You
Yes.
can write about your feelings much easier than somebody who doesn't know how to write. Use your journal. Write down every day what stressed me out, how did it make me feel. Okay? Sewing or baking can be used as creative tools to help you cope better. So if you can't sleep at night, one of my clients told me the other day, she gets up and she bakes something for the family that helps to distract her from the trauma and stuff that she's thinking about in the middle of the night, and she does something nice that brings joy to somebody else.
Mm.
Right? Try to cut back on alcohol and caffeine and cigarettes if you're using those.
Okay, well,
Guys,
most
if you
people
take
really right on caffeine.
yeah. But if you take more than 3 cups of coffee a day, guys, it
Yeah.
heightens your anxiety. It makes you more anxious, the caffeine. So I know caffeine is anonymous to keeping me awake so that I can work. But the more caffeine you have, the more hyped up you are, and you might. So rather use the vitamin B and the exercise versus the coffee. Okay, the exercise will also give you energy to do your work. Okay, speak to a healthcare practitioner about the possibility of medication if needed. So as I said earlier, please just be careful with medication. I work in the addiction field as well, and I see so many people coming into rehabs for pill addiction. You get a legitimate script from a doctor for a pill to help you to feel better, and you end up abusing that, and you end up becoming dependent on a pill, and then it becomes a bigger problem. The addiction then becomes a bigger problem than the stress or the anxiety that you had before. So just a warning on that. But if you need meds, you need to speak to your doctor, all right? And motivational books, motivational quotes, motivational speakers, those are good things that can inspire you in different ways. So find those motivational things online as well. At the moment, there's so many free webinars, motivational webinars by people like Robin Banks, etc., that just helps you to focus again and make you feel better, because the situation that we're in, the COVID situation, is making us feel out of control. So we need to find ways for other people to motivate us and just put some positive stuff into our mind to help us better. Okay, so that's more or less from my side. Kim, any other questions that you may have?
Well, I'm going to just draw on some of the things that you've said and how I've used those to help me. Sometimes I'm disciplined with it, so it works very well, and sometimes I'm not disciplined. But when I'm disciplined, I find that I'll get up in the morning, and from a diet perspective, the first thing that I do is that I drink water. So in winter, it's obviously hot water because cold water is just so I have a cup of hot water, and then my breakfast will be a boiled egg, a slice of raw spinach, and then an orange. And the leafy green vegetables, which is something that you mentioned, does definitely help with the vitamin B and also magnesium. So that does help to calm you down. And yes, there's sometimes when our cash flow is great, and then there's sometimes when it's so bad that I actually can't eat like that. So what I do is I say, when we do have the cash flow, when there are orders coming through, because at the moment, my current business, we've only got one product that we can sell. I stick to that breakfast routine. And then I find from the physical perspective, look, I'm not much of an exercise person, but I use this with my kids as well. If they're getting overly anxious, we just do good old-fashioned star jumps that we used to do at school. It actually reduces some of that physical hyped up feeling. I do agree with you that over drinking coffee definitely does increase my anxiety levels. But then I'm like, if I drink tea, then I'm going to go to the toilet a lot. And so then I have to be disciplined and say, okay, rather drink a cup of hot water. And then there's a lot of tools that authors can use. So one of them is NaNoWriting Mo. It's a website where they have writing camps. Now on that, you've got a timer. So you can actually time how much you write. You've got a goal section, so you put in a goal. You can get a buddy, so someone else anywhere in the world that's writing a similar genre to you, and you can insert who that person is and chat to them and tell them how you're doing. Then I belong to a buddy group. It's a WhatsApp group that a couple of South African authors have. And then we'll say, I'm doing a writing sprint at 3 o'clock. Is there anyone else who's going to join me? And if there is someone that's joining you, it actually just motivates you. Don't feel so isolated. And then definitely routine works very well for me. So when I've got 3 children, and then when I find when you've had a new baby, everything seems to be falling apart. And once you get into routine, this is bath time, this is the feeding time, then things just go much easier. So I've used that analogy in my writing. Set a routine, and yes, it's going to be difficult getting into the routine, but once you're in it, it makes it easier. The other thing that I do is I use mood music. So on YouTube, there are a lot of background mood music. So I write medieval fantasy, so I will look for epic fantasy background. If it's a tense scene, then I will look for spy music background. And that rhythm and pace of the music actually allows me to write much faster than I would in a normal circumstance. So those are tools that authors can use. When it came to my kids, I was all over the place, and I found 2 really nice online services that I could use. The one is Mathletics, which has got an English and a maths program. It's aligned to South African curriculum, and you even get reports that will say your child finished this amount, this is what their marks were. And that took away a lot of anxiety because I didn't have to do as much teaching. So we've actually limited, I know that there probably some parents are going to like be frothing at the mouth, but we've limited our online learning for the kids from 7 o'clock in the morning until 9 o'clock. Because at the end of the day, I feel that I could always pay a tutor in the future to help my children catch up than to not have any income at all at the moment. So we've got the things that we want them to achieve, and that is something that I've had to let go. I've had to say, my child's probably not going to win the spelling bee at the end of COVID-19, but they have to be stimulated, and I have to get some work done. So another thing that we've implemented in our family is a movie fast. So we will say from Monday to Thursday, if we haven't met our goals, then we're not going to watch any TV in the evening. We're either going to read a book, or we're going to focus on that thing that we couldn't get done. And that allows us to achieve more goals than if we were binge watching because we were so stressed. So definitely routine is the thing that's helped me a lot. And then also to be around people who are positive, who have got goals in mind, because they then encourage you to keep going. So to me, the big thing is, who are you? If you're a writer, or you are a therapist, or whatever, you say, what does that person do? What does a successful writer do? What does a successful therapist do? What does a successful coach do? I need to be doing those things. And writers write. So there's a saying in our industry that says, you can edit rubbish, but you can't edit nothing. So we have to do something every day. And you might not feel like writing. I think you will attest to this in your industry, is sometimes motivation follows action. You just start. And then as you're getting into it, it will start working better for you, become motivated. You'll say, I've celebrated that I did something today. So Judy, I want to say thank you so much for popping in and chatting to us, that we're not all like like just weird, insane people if we are going through anxiety and stress, that it is normal, and that there are people that we can reach out to, and there are coping mechanisms that we can go through. Thank you so, so much. I really appreciate your time and your input. And remember, anyone who wants to get hold of Judy, if you do go through the recording again, her email address is there. But Judy, don't you just want to remind us what the email address is?
All right. So it's my name and surname, Judy Dos Santos @mail.com. So just one word, Judy Dos Santos @mail.com. And please remember, it's not Gmail. I'm on mail.
Excellent. And so if people do have, like, they need to have someone to talk to, I think you've mentioned that even though you're not contracted into medical aid, you charge medical aid rates, which is really good for people watching their budget. And how would they go about booking a session with you if they needed to?
Yeah, look, so they can email me because I'm always available on email. And then just say you're interested to come and see me. So then I can send you my number, my practice details and the fees and all of that, because the medical aids all have different rates. And then we can set up an appointment from there. I'm fairly flexible at the moment. And I'm working from home most of the time, so I do online. So even if you're in Cape Town or Durban, I can see you. We can do a Zoom or a WhatsApp video call, and then we can start chatting about what are the issues in your life that you are struggling to cope with, and find a way to help you with that.
Super. Thank you, Judy, so much, and I wish you a wonderful, productive day. And to all of the authors and other people that are watching, thank you very much for tuning in. We hope to see you again. And please do email me if you've got other topics that you would like to cover in these author chats. My email is kim@kimformark.com. Have a super day. Bye for now.
Bye.